Don in London, hello. Monday, October 5th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol. My behaviour, trying to be perfect, never so. And I was having a conversation earlier about how life can be. And if we're not stuck in one addiction, maybe we can be cross-addicted into others. And that was certainly true for me. Workaholic, relationshipaholic, any old ism, if you like. And what helped me get out of all of this into a one-day program of recovery, which keeps on rolling on? Well, it was family, professionals, community, society, civilization, self-awareness, or lack of it. And when we go into dependence around a particular substance or behaviour and then try and find our way out, we often try and do it on our own. So self-will. And for me, self-will, well, it will always let me down because I'm trying to do it on my own. And self-will run riot in the end for me as I went from dependency into addiction. So is there a way back from addiction? Well, it's classified as a disease. I haven't found a way back to safe drinking ever. And I prefer being in a one-day program which helps me keep sober and then helps me with my emotional, spiritual and physical balance on a daily basis. How to stay balanced in the day. It's as simple as that, one day only. So, with all the help of family, community, civilization and society, which kept me alive long enough to have a moment of clarity, and that moment of clarity was, I cannot do this on my own, I cannot stop. And, it cannot get any worse. Rock bottom. I hope that was rock bottom, but then I found in sobriety, living in sobriety, for even after a few years, we can still experience rock bottoms, and that is desperate fear, sadness, loneliness, isolation, exclusion. All those things can happen. So what helps me most in all these instances is a fellowship, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for it, never can, never will. It's full of unique, authentic people, and they speak for themselves where they choose. But anonymity is important. It's sacrosanct. It's a place where, in meetings and with others who understand in fellowship, how to find the truth of now. So anonymity always affords sanctuary to find the truth. And what I found truth is the spiritual connection to living in the moment of now. And that fits with most philosophies, I guess, around what is God, who is God, what can God be? And the universal seems to be God is truth, and that's what Gandhi said. So it helps me on a daily basis that I am trying to live to truth, the truth of now. And it's not my version of truth or what I've learned so far, because I may be in denial, I may be misinformed, I may be misguided. So fellowship helps me in that respect too, to get a more universal truth to what is going on. So if God is truth, if God works through people, and if God is love, that's as far as I understand so far. And that's pretty good for me. It's taken a long time to realise that I am not in control. So the fellowship offers 12 steps of action for me, 12 steps to change my attitude and behaviour and my understanding through listening to the experience, strength and hope of others, and keeping on learning on a daily basis. So I share experience, strength and hope of what I'm learning. And I feel very, very fortunate and lucky that I am sober today and have been for a little while. So AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, helps me. There's a statement of intent about the fellowship which I always share. It's part of my meditation in the day. And it goes like this. It's also called the AA Preamble, shared at every meeting of AA I attend. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other that they may solve their problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And yesterday was a really good day in some respects, but I have other conditions which I need to be aware to take account of and check on quite frequently during the day. And one is type 1 diabetes, and I got caught out yesterday and had a hypo in the morning, and it then sends me a bit confused for a while, and also makes me tired and exhausted. But there was a 10-year tea party, a celebration anniversary of 10 years sober, and I got there a little bit early and was able to stay a while. And the trouble is, with people like me, we want to stay to the end. But I also knew that I needed to get away and just spend some time recuperating from the impact of the hypo or the low blood sugar in the morning. It's always very dangerous if I don't watch the warning signs. And so the hangover today, not so much emotional, more to do with physical, and knowing that the hypo happened. And it does take a little while to get recalibrated, if you like, to get my balance back. But, you know, without the program of AA, I wouldn't have been alive long enough to get type 1 diabetes, which I got from a virus. And I wouldn't have the wherewithal or the understanding of how to look after myself, maybe, as best I can on a daily basis. So I utilise readings like these, daily reflections. And, you know, October in this book is all about step 10, which is doing the spot inventory, or taking a personal inventory of assets and liabilities, what has worked and what has not worked in the day. So it's once we've got over the mountain, or the mountain of stuff we accumulated on the way to recovery, in our step 4, which is the fearless moral inventory of all the stuff we've suppressed inside us and worked on to get it down to day size, then the inventory at step 10 is about keeping things in the day, and maybe things don't spill over into the next one. Anyway, the reading for today from this is about yesterday's baggage, which is very good. For the wise have always known that no one can make much of his life until self-searching becomes a regular habit, until he is able to admit and accept what he finds, and until he patiently and persistently tries to correct what is wrong. And that comes from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 88. I'm going to quote a bit more in just a moment. It goes on to say, I have more than enough to handle today, without dragging along yesterday's baggage too. I must balance today's books if I am to have a chance tomorrow. So I ask myself if I have erred, and how can I avoid repeating that particular behaviour? Did I hurt anyone? Did I help anyone? And why? Some of today is bound to spill over into tomorrow, but most of it need not if I make an honest daily inventory. And the gift for me last night, I felt well enough to get to a meeting, and it was all about what it's like to keep on being in recovery and dealing with grief and sadness as well as joy and happiness. So it was a great meeting for me, and it teaches me every day that I need to watch out for resentments, and I need to watch out for fear. Number one offenders when we go back to drinking. But in this 12 and 12 book here, if I've got time, I'll just try and read this. It says here on page 90, it is a spiritual axiom that every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us. If somebody hurts us and we are sore, we are in the wrong also. But are there no exceptions to this rule? What about justifiable anger? If someone cheats us, aren't we entitled to be mad? Can we be properly angry with self-righteous folk? For us of AA, these are dangerous exceptions. We have found that justified anger ought to be left to those better qualified to handle it. Few people have been more victimised by resentment than we alcoholics. It mattered little whether our resentments were justified or not. A burst of temper could spoil a day. A well-nursed grudge could make us miserably ineffective. Nor were we ever skillful in separating justified from unjustified anger. As we saw it, our wrath was always justified. Anger, that occasional luxury of more balanced people, could keep us on an emotional jag indefinitely. These emotional dry benders often led straight to the bottle. Other kinds of disturbances, jealousy, envy, self-pity or hurt pride, did the same thing. And my time is up. But what do I say at the end of this about acceptance and the serenity prayer to God or to your good conscience? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom always to know the difference just for today.